There are 6 books that can transform your life completely for the better. Each one of them is very, very powerful. If you read all 6, you can take your life to another level if you practice what you learn from them. Now, these 6 books contain the essence of Hinduism. So if you really want to know what Hinduism is all about, it's contained basically in these 6 texts. I'm going to tell you a little about each one in random order, not according to any preference. Now, the first one is about the sage Ashtavakra. Ashtavakra was born deformed in 8 places. That's what Ashtavakra means. Ashta is 8 and Vakra means curve or bend. And the legend goes that his father cursed him because when he was still in his mother's womb, and his father was a noted Brahmin scholar, he was reciting some text and Ashtavakra cried out from his mother's womb and corrected him. And in his anger, his father cursed Ashtavakra, so he was born deformed in 8 places. Now, there was a significant incident that took place when he was 12 years old. King Janak had a debate and invited a number of scholars, and there were fabulous prizes given. Now, Ashtavakra's father entered the debate and made it to the final round. But in the last round, his father started losing the debate. Ashtavakra rushed to the court. When he entered the court, the scholars saw him and they started laughing because he looked so funny when he moved because his body was bent and deformed in 8 places. Now, amazingly, Ashtavakra laughed back. So King Janak tells him, he says, I can see why they're laughing, but I can't understand why you're laughing. And he said, I came here to see scholars debating truth. Instead, I find a group of cobblers, a group of chamars. Now, the entire court was stunned into silence because here were upper caste Brahmins and he was calling them shoemakers, cobblers, chamars. So the king asked him to explain himself. He says, what do you mean? And Ashtavakra said, he says, my body may be deformed, but I am not. Look within me, you'll find something pure and beautiful. If these scholars can't see the truth about me, why are they debating truth? Now, this is a very powerful answer, and King Janak, it affected him greatly. And the next day, King Janak sought out Ashtavakra, and he asked him 3 questions, and Ashtavakra's answer is the Ashtavakra Gita, a beautiful text to read. And I'm going to read out one of my favorite passages from there. There are many. All things arise, experience change, and pass away. This is their inherent nature. When you understand this, you remain unperturbed and free from pain. Through this peace, in fact, you become still. The next text is supposed to be Lord Shiva's first teaching. Shiva first appeared in Mount Kailash something like 8 to 10 or 12,000 years ago. And he taught yoga to the 7 rishis who are known as the Sapta Rishis, the 7 sages. And he gave them 112 meditations for liberation, for self-realization. Now, up till that time, it wasn't possible to be liberated. There was no tools, there was no technology. But Shiva gave them these 112 techniques, and then for the first time, it became possible for a human being to raise their level of consciousness and become enlightened. Now, one of these Sapta Rishis returned to Kashmir. His name was Rishi Keshava. He's known as the founder of Kashmir, and Kashmir is named after him. From Kashmir Shaivism, one of the most important texts is the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra. And the Vigyan Bhairava Tantra is a dialogue between Shiva and Parvati, and is said to contain those 112 meditations. Now, all meditations that you find world over, even from different religions, they are always derived in one form or the other from one of the meditations given in this text. And there are a number of beautiful meditations, and right in the end, Shiva gives the final meditation, which is one of his favorites. Now, one of my favorite meditations is the second last one given there, which says, all contact with pleasure, pain, etc. are through the sense organs. Therefore, one should detach oneself from the senses, turn within, and abide in one's own self. Now, the third text is from yoga. It's the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Patanjali is known as the father of yoga. He's not the founder of yoga. Shiva is the founder of yoga, as I just explained. But Patanjali organized yoga into 8 limbs. He organized it, and he explains how you could be liberated. And he gives enough other wisdom in the text. Now, he talks about the 5 afflictions that cause suffering, the 5 activities of the mind. There are 2, memory and imagination, that can cause us suffering. He talks about the 4 types of people that you will meet. Now, whatever you want to do in life, you have to be able to get along with people. You'll have to be able to understand people and behave with them. Now, he says there are only 4 types of people you will meet, and he explains how you should interact with each of these types so that you remain peaceful. And one of the most famous sutras from this text is the 2nd sutra, where he says, Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Stilling the activities of the mind is yoga. And he says, once you do that, you reside in your natural state. Now, the rest of the book is set up to explain this, and he gives the 8 stages or 8 limbs of yoga, starting with yamas, the self-disciplines, niyamas, the observances, asanas, pranayam, pratyahar, which is sensory detachment, there's dharana, which is concentration, dhyan, meditation, and finally samadhi, which is very close to liberation. Now, there's a lot of practical advice given here. He also explains probably the best method for getting rid of anger. So this is a yoga classic. It's the foundational and the most important text that you'll find in yoga. Now, our 4th text is also from Kashmir Shaivism. It's the Shiva Sutras. And this text was revealed to the sage Vasugupta in the 8th century AD. At that time, Kashmir was partly Buddhist, partly Hindu, and there were debates going on between the Buddhists and the Hindus. And Vasugupta prayed to Shiva for advice, for enlightenment, for a way out. And Shiva appeared to him in a dream and said, go to this rock. And he explained to him where it was. And he said, on this rock, you will find a teaching. He says, teach this to all those people who are fit for grace. So the next day, Vasugupta went looking for this rock, and he found it. And when he touched this rock, on its surface, the rock turned over. And on its surface were inscribed the 77 sutras that are today called the Shiva Sutras. Now, the very first sutra is Chaitanya Atma, which means the self is consciousness. Our soul, or innermost being, is consciousness. And how do you reach the state of enlightenment or full consciousness? And he describes many, many methods, and one of them is attentiveness is the seed. That when you're attentive to the present moment, that's the seed for the blossoming of your awareness, for the blossoming of your full consciousness, and for you to be able to find your full reality. Now, the Shiva Sutras is one of the most important texts also of Hinduism. It's also one of the foundational texts of Kashmir Shaivism, a non-dual form of yoga and Tantra. Now, the 5th text is one of the Upanishads. It's one of my favorite, which is the Katha Upanishad, which is a dialogue between Yama, the god of death, and a young boy called Nachiketa. Now, Nachiketa's father sent him to Yama in anger. And Yama waited for Nachiketa for 3 days and 3 nights. And when Yama appeared, he apologized to Nachiketa. He said, I've kept you waiting for 3 days and 3 nights. I'm giving you 3 boons. And he granted the first 2 boons very easily. And it's the 3rd boon that Nachiketa asked him. He said, what happens after death? Do we exist or do we not exist? And Yama was hesitant to answer this. He says, ask me something else. He says, I'll give you lots of land. I'll give you lots of money. I'll make you the king of this world. I'll give you lots of women, but don't ask me to answer this. And Nachiketa says, what am I going to do with all this wealth and this riches when I know that you're looking over me, and ultimately when I die, it's all going to be taken away from me? So Yama was very impressed with this reply. And he explained to him, he says, there are 2 paths that a person is attracted to, the path of pleasure and the path of joy. And those who follow the path of pleasure don't reach eternity. They keep being reborn. And it's the path of joy that you need to follow if you want to find eternal happiness. Now, there are 2 passages there that really sum up some of the essence of this text, and they're amongst my favorite passages. I'm just going to read them out here. God made the opening of the senses outwards. They go towards the world outside, not to the self within. But a wise man who desired liberation turned and looked inwards and found his self. The ignorant go after outward pleasures and fall into the trap of vast encompassing death. But the wise have a correct understanding of liberation and do not seek the eternal here in things that pass away. The final text is the one that most of you would have heard of, which is the Bhagavad Gita. Now, the Bhagavad Gita is a beautiful text. It has tons of wisdom. The chapter 2 is probably the most important. It's a summary of all the chapters. And what the Bhagavad Gita is most famous for is karma yoga, where he says act, but don't worry about the fruits of your action. Don't worry about the results of your action. Focus on your action. And these 2 passages are really contained in verse 47 and 48 of the 2nd chapter. I'm just going to read them out, and then I'll explain briefly what it means. You have a right only to your work, not at any time on its rewards. Do not let the rewards be the motive for your actions, and neither become attached to inaction. Give up selfish desires while performing actions, O Arjuna. This is being established in yoga. Be the same in success and in failure. This equanimity is called yoga. So the very basis of karma yoga is given in these two verses. And it's a way really to happiness, that if you don't be so attached to the results will take care of them. If you focus on doing your action well, you'll get success in life. But if you just focus on the end result, you'll experience stress in life. Now, these are 6 amazing texts. They can transform you, and they will also give you the essence of Hinduism. They'll show you what it truly means to be a Hindu. Thank you for watching.